What's up, guys? Fantard here to review Bungou Stray Dogs Season 2 Episode 1. Now, I was thinking, I was watching this episode this morning, and I'm thinking, what the heck, I might as well just review this series, It's a series, when it comes to anime, I think it has some potential with Bungou Stray Dogs. I didn't review the first season because I kind of, marathoned it through it all, and it was, already over, and, the Season 2 was already going to come up pretty soon. So I'll just wait for Season 2 to happen. As far as the story goes, it's not the greatest story in the world. It's got some potential. I really like some of its characters. I think the comedy is pretty funny. The powers are pretty interesting. The fighting scenes are pretty good. The animation is nice. The main character, I'm not too fond of him. He's okay, but it's this whole story. It's nothing that I haven't seen before. With the character being a beast that he doesn't know that he's a beast, and that he was abandoned or something, and obviously was left alone. And the thing that I didn't like about the first season was that they kept shoving that fucking flashback down our throats with him being abandoned by these Catholic priests or something like that, and they keep telling him, "Oh, go away, no one wants you here." And so they kind of shoved that down a couple of times, so I was like, that's kind of annoying. But other than the main character, I really like the side characters, the people he works for. And I guess my favorite character is probably Dazai, because he was we know that he was a former executive of the Port Mafia. And it kind of they talked about it at the end of the first season, and they never got back into it. And I don't think even his coworkers know that he works for the Port Mafia. Right now, I can't think of the company name that he's working for now, the good guys. It's really slipping my mind. I have to go back and look at the Wikia for this anime, because I guess it was a couple months back that I saw this, and since I knew the Season 2 was coming up, I decided to wait for it. But some of the things are kind of not fresh in my mind. I probably should have done that before this video, but whatever, fuck it. I just watched the first episode of Season 2, so when I get into that review. But this review is basically a Dazai episode. It's a flashback with him being in the Port Mafia. And it's pretty interesting because you get to see what more of the Port Mafia is like. You get to see him and his drinking buddies. You see the main boss for the Port Mafia is what I believed who that person was. And everyone talks about Dazai in a very high manner, as if he was destined to be the guy who takes over the Port Mafia, because that's how talented he was. But he was always, him and his quirks he was always trying to kill himself. He has this funny side to him. He's playing video games. So he's probably one of my favorite characters. But this whole flashback is, it's basically one with him and his buddies. And apparently they were reflecting on it, and he's taking pictures of him drinking with each other. And you get some narrative with one of his friends saying that, one of the guys died that day, or one of the guys died the next day because we never drank together again. This whole thing is basically this whole show is basically, it's mystery, figuring out crimes. They're both crime companies, so to say. And one of their drinking buddies goes missing. I think his name's Ango. Ango. I think it's Ango. I'm thinking of Fongo from 91 Days. Anyway, he goes missing, and he's one of the intelligence for the Port Mafia. He has a bunch of information. He does a bunch of dealings, and that's what everyone is kind of worried about. So they send one of the lower tier guys who is very talented. He has this power where he can see 5 to 6 seconds in the future, and that's a pretty damn OP power. But he doesn't overuse it. He doesn't try to spam it where he doesn't abuse it, because he doesn't like killing people. He holds a gun and he never uses it to shoot a person. And he doesn't go into the detail on why he doesn't do that. And people are kind of disappointed with him, saying oh, you'd be a lot more higher in the Port Mafia if you didn't have this self-righteous, moral to you. So you have Dazai trying to figure out who are these new villains that they're involved with. They're called Mimic, and they have this gun, this European gun, and apparently they might be the guys who have kidnapped Ango. And it's fun. It's pretty interesting how this show kind of figures things out. It's one of the things I kind of had a peeve with this show was that it seemed like some of the characters were a bit too smart and everything came too quickly to them. But there were times where they kind of balanced it out pretty good, and they were able to add a conflict to it. So hopefully, I think the show might be able to add more conflict to it, where some of the main characters aren't too powerful, where they're too smart. And because I'm like, they're kind of just figuring everything out. But they was able to add like a sense of endangerment for the main character at least, who's a freaking tiger. And by the way, hopefully we can find out why he's a tiger in this season, the main character. Right now I'm like slipping on the names right now. I'm just doing horrible with the names. Sorry about that. But as far as this episode goes, it's basically a flashback of Dazai and how he was with the Port Mafia and what happened with him and some of his friends. Hopefully we get some more insight on why he left the Port Mafia in the first place, because I don't think anyone was expecting him to do that, because he's got some crimes that are like make you question if he's good or not. So he's one of my favorite characters. Really looking forward to the next couple episodes, and can't wait to see the rest of the gang. Really like this series so far. Hopefully they can improve and shut me up on some of my criticisms about it, like the main character. Hopefully there's more to him than him just being a walking cliche. And hopefully we get that with this upcoming series. I'm looking forward to how this series is going to go. That's my Season 2, Episode 1, Bungou Stray Dogs review. Fantart out.